Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday webinar. Today, our subject is APIs and how corporates can improve their efficiency by using banks' APIs. We have some expert speakers here. We have Matti Honkanen, who is our digital FX expert. Then we have Liisa Kanniainen, API banking expert, and also Tuula Hatakka, cash management expert with a very strong background on corporate treasuries. You audience, you are all muted, but you can write your questions on the questions box, which we can then read after the webinar and go through all your questions. You will find the questions box on the right side of the screen at the moment. Last year, Nordea made a study among 300 treasuries in all Nordic countries where we focused on digitalization and changing business model in treasuries. We discovered that the automation is still a priority, but the very bold expectations for increased automation in our 2012 study has not really materialized. And today, the ambition level is lower when it comes to digitalization and automation of the processes. But still, corporate treasuries has a very strong will to release time from routine tasks by automating them. And that is our theme for this webinar: how to ease corporates, treasuries, and finance people life with bank APIs. Currently, we know that all banks have started to develop their API offering towards corporates, and we have created the mandatory PSD2 based APIs, and on top of that, the specific premium APIs, which are mostly requested by corporate customers. Now I will invite Liisa Kanniainen, and we will go through some of the key terminology for today's subject. What is API banking? Liisa, can you elaborate corporate API banking? What is that?
Yes, hello also from my side. Corporate API banking simply means providing banking services through APIs. So instead of providing banking services through file channels or net banks, banks are offering banking services to corporate customers through APIs. That's the first term.
Thank you, Liisa. The next is open banking. We have heard about this a lot, but can you still kind of formulate what this in simplicity means?
Well, open banking term has a little bit of history with it. So historically, it started with the PSD2 APIs. And most people still refer to open banking when they talk about the PSD2 APIs. But in most of the banks, also open banking portals include also the corporate APIs, the so-called premium APIs as well. That's also the case in our case. So our API market in the open banking portal does include also the premium, the corporate APIs, but also the PSD2 APIs. So that's a bit overlapping, but a bit different perspective to the terminology.
Thanks. And then the next thing is embedded banking or embedded finance. What is that?
That's probably even more hyped terminology because that's quite a new expression. What it simply means, it means integrating, embedding or integrating banking or financial services to another process, to a non-financial process. Example being that integrating banking services or payments in a web shop or mobile app or something like that. So it's integrating something which is banking service or financial service to a non-financial process.
Okay, thank you for that. Then last but not least, banking as a service. We have heard about different as a service, software as a service, transportation as a service, but now we have also banking as a service. Can you open this a little bit more?
Yeah, this is also a quite hyped term, but it simply means that that the bank who has a license to offer the services is offering one of its capabilities to a partner who is then offering the banking or the financial services to their customers. So in the banking as a service, that's offering the capability to be a bank as a service for on another customer who is then serving their customers.
Great. Now I believe that we have gone through the terminology for this webinar and hope that this will help the audience to get more insight what we are talking during this webinar. But now, Matti, you have some ideas and descriptions how treasury processes and premium APIs can be combined.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that the discussion about the APIs is too often far too technical. I have actually heard many people asking if a treasury manager is interested in our APIs. An honest answer would be typically no, unless the treasury manager happens to be a tech geek. So people interested in making their daily work smooth and efficient are not interested in the APIs as such, in the same way as people who are interested in traveling are not typically interested in the wheels and tires of cars. So I guess you're not interested in the APIs as such either, but however, you probably are interested in making your daily work easier. And that's where we can help you. Actually, in the background, we still have all the APIs, but you don't need to care about it too much. Let's instead focus on how we can help you. The benefits are listed in the dark blue box in the middle of this slide, and let's take a look at them with practical examples. First, whatever task you are doing, you can choose your primary interface, and we provide the banking services there, be it Nordea's interface or not. For example, if you need your FX trade details in your treasury management system, we can automatically get the trade details there without you copying them from Nordea interface, actually without you even opening the Nordea interface. I can also promise this works with any modern treasury management system. Or second example, if you want to hedge your foreign exchange risk in a Nordea interface, but you need some business data from your ERP for defining the exact trades you need to do, you don't need to import the data manually or via Excel. You just go to the Nordea interface and the business data appears automatically there in the right time and in the right format and the right data, of course. Now think for a while what this could mean for you if you switch the foreign exchange for something else, for example, account transactions or account balances or whatever it might be in your case. I know the weakness of concrete examples are that they are almost never exactly what you need, since your needs are to some extent unique. But we are here to help you with that. Have a talk with us so we can see what parts are stealing your time in your daily work and if we could help you save time there with the APIs. But then back to the benefits for the moment, more specifically to the second one in the dark blue box again. So in a nutshell, you don't need to switch between the interfaces just to copy and paste data, nor do you need to do cumbersome modifications in Excel to data before you are able to put it to the other system that you're using. And lastly, another benefit we can provide you is that you get real-time data from the APIs and not data from yesterday, for example. This applies to as well account balances, account transactions, and FX trades. Then you might wonder how we could make this happen. And there we finally need to discuss the APIs as such, to some extent at least. Fortunately, once we know what we want to achieve with you, choosing the right API and doing the technical integration to it is quite straightforward. But contact us and we will help you with that. But that was it about the treasury processes for the moment. Lisa, what interesting benefits do we have for purchase to pay process?
Thanks, Matti. There are certainly are a lot of things where we can help customers and corporates to automate and digitalize the purchase to pay process, and I will be giving you some examples of that. So to start with, let's start again from the markets API side. And here we have a couple of examples where actually, in essence, we are embedding the APIs to your processes. So it's also an example of embedded banking. So for example, you can use the FX APIs in the proposal phase when you consider making a purchase. You can automatically get the correct indicative FX forward rate calculated on the expected payment date. Then once the purchase is confirmed, the confirmation can trigger automatic execution of the FX forward that you have priced. And then if, for instance, the payment is delayed, then the delay can trigger an automatic extension of the FX forward so that the settlement date is moved to a new expected payment date. Then we have the beneficiary account validation, which is a service to confirm new suppliers and that's especially foreign suppliers payment details, and also for changing payment details before the payment. So you can validate the account details before you make the payment in order to combat fraud. So this is also an example to the structured data and to structuring something which is totally manual at the moment. Most of the companies are today validating payment details so that they're picking up the vendor data from another system and then making a connection through email or phone call to the vendor to validate the payment details. Now this manual process can be replaced by an automated API so that you can send the query to Nordea and we are transmitting that through Swift to the beneficiary bank, and then together with the other banks helping you to combat fraud and fight against the increasing fraud in this area. So we are really working here to digitalize and automate the processes. And I think another example of supporting that is the corporate payout, where you can initiate any payment directly from the process, from the payment process, from your ERP, from your TMS system, from your travel management system, from any other system that you like. And in corporate payout, there is a variety of payment methods, payments available there. And then there is also now a pre-confirmation flow, which we are piloting. So this is the full set of APIs, but this is not the end of it. We are also looking into how can we, what else can we add here, and how can we continue to help and support the automation of the purchase to pay process. But how about Tuula? How could we then help to automate the order to cash process?
Thanks, Lisa. Yes, now to the order to cash process, and as in the previous examples, also it's a process starting from the offer and finally to getting the monies on the account. There are several steps, and in the dark blue box in the middle, we have summarized some benefits, value-adding considerations with the automated integrations that could be achieved. And firstly, like Lisa was also mentioning, the other side of the coin, but also in the sales related process, there are the offers, and there may be a need when the offers and sales is expected to happen in currency. So it is of course very important that the offers are with the indicative rates are following the market. So then you can have this FX pricing follow-up API automatically considering how accurate the rates are there on the open offers. And then of course when the sale is then confirmed and it's happening, so there is the possibility to add value and automate the FX exposure management, so that, for example, in the best case, when the sale is confirmed, invoice is created and appears in the accounts receivable ledger. So that would then trigger a market order based on the hedging rules and principles there is, but then it could trigger a, for example, FX forward, and that could then be automated, that process. Then again, as we are talking about incoming monies, so there are situations where the payment is received erroneously or double payment, or there are several situations where the automated matching of the incoming payment to the AR ledger is not doable. And in some occasions, it may also be difficult to then return the payment. There may be unsurety of the sender's account details. So now we have added this payment refund API to the testing toolbox. It covers especially and for now only the SEPA payments. So it does require Euro account in Finland, but thinking of the pain point that there is and all the manual work that is around these payments that need to be returned. So this payment refund giving the possibility to automate, and finally, especially in those cases where it is unsure where to return the payment, it can be done based on the archiving number on the payment. So you don't even need to find out and make calls and a lot of extra effort to get it returned. And as I said, this is available in the API market in the sandbox testing environment, and this payment refund API is of course then something we wish to get also feedback, whether it's filling the needs of the pain points could be solved with this one. And then based on the testing phase and for the SEPA payments, as I mentioned, we plan to have this in production next year, 2022. Then also when there are consumer customers, there are several retail finance value-adding services planned, and that then means that the retail customer either in the in-store or online can get sort of apply instant credit decisions, and it can be very smooth payment ways even with a credit decision via this API. So these retail finance APIs are coming to the API market sandbox, but of course they are that kind of nature that very often it's not kind of off-the-shelf solution, but they need to be tailor-made, but also boosting hopefully sales. And finally, I must mention also that as Matti mentioned during the treasury process presentation, the instant reporting. So there are occasions when there are time-critical payments that are expected. So the instant reporting API would also, in my opinion, be considered as part of the automation of sales process, because with the instant reporting, not only can you get the balances, but also the transactions. So if there are something that you definitely need to know that is a payment credited, so you don't need to monitor and look it up manually, but rather get it instantly real time to your systems. And even one could consider that the accounts receivable ledger, provided that the transaction details match and are sufficient. So one could consider to get the ledger also to be more towards real time. So API instant reporting, I must mention as another API also, but with all these, as also Matti was saying in the beginning, that it's not the point that just to have APIs, but really the benefit and the value add that is possible to get, and that is the whole point of considering the ways of working and trying to release time from the manual tasks and monitoring. But now that this order to cash process was also given with concrete examples, so Vesa, how about would you like to summarize this, what we have now gone through based on the processes? Vesa.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, API banking with Nordea, and now I would like to summarize this together with Lisa. If we start from the first box, Lisa, what should I do if the process automation with API services sounds interesting to me as a corporate?
Yes, I think that the slogan that we have here, think big, start small, that is a really good one, because I think that where it all should be starting from is that you sit down and think about a little bit and create the vision. Where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? How automated treasury and processes are you targeting? What do you want to achieve with the automation and digitalization of this? Where do you want to utilize the latest technologies, and how do you want to build it all together? Because I understand there are several elements of it. There is the ERP, and probably you are renewing your ERP system. There is the TMS system and all the middleware and what have you. So what is your system landscape? How do you plan to structure and plan your future system landscape? And how do you, what's really, really important is that how do you plan to use structured data there? So where is your data today? How can you convert that to structured format? And what needs to be done in order to make the basement, i.e. the data, structured and the future plan? I think that that's really the starting point, and that's the think big, but then start small. What we also are learning from the customer dialogues is that most of the customers are actually wanting to start from an API which is providing immediate value, but not probably from the mainstream process. So that's our learning as well, that maybe it makes sense to start from a small API so that you get used to it. You learn also, and your people learn how to work with APIs and what are the whereabouts, and then you can make the bigger steps towards your future strategy.
Yes, co-creation and collaboration. Can you explain what is Nordea's way of working? How do we proceed with customers on API development?
We really would like to understand the pain points that the customers have in each of these processes. That's also why we've done this mapping of our APIs towards the customer processes. But as said, our model is the co-creation and collaboration. So we really advise you to talk to your cash management advisor in Nordea and ask for an API discussion, and also bring the process owners to the discussion, and pinpoint that, okay, this exactly is the pain point that we are having. Probably a couple of other customers are having the same pain points, and that's then helping us to then hopefully look into it and create some solutions which are then benefiting most of our customers. So it's really important to start the dialogue and take the process owners to the dialogue as well, and reach out to the Nordea Cash Management Advisor.
Yes, thank you. At the beginning of this webinar, we referred to Treasury 2025 study where the respondents say that they would like to increase the level of automation, but the expectation has not faced the reality when it comes to the question, how soon can we get there? How soon can we automate our processes? So Lisa, do you have any concrete example how corporates has automated their processes with Nordea's API solutions?
Yes, I think the beneficiary account validation is actually a good example of that. So, and it's also an example of a co-creation model. So that was co-created with a customer. So, but to the automation and digitalization example, for instance, beneficiary account validation is automating, as I already explained, the validation journey for the foreign vendor data and payment details, whether those are correct and legit. So, but what it also can be integrated to several processes in your backend. So, for instance, it can be integrated to the vendor data in the purchasing process, and then also in the treasury process counterparty data, and then also in the receivables side, if there is some refunds and the account is different than in your books. So like how to do this kind of digitalization and automation, sometimes it makes sense to mirror the bank API and then connect it from there to your several processes. But it's also kind of providing more than one benefit when you can connect it to several processes and then deliver the value exactly where it is needed.
Thank you. Thanks for the answers. And for those who got interested on API solutions, please visit Nordea Open Banking Developer Portal. The address is visible at the bottom of this slide. On those pages, we have listed the currently available API solutions, and we will add the new ones when they are ready for testing in Sandbox. I believe that now we can go into the questions which has been written by the audience. The first one, what is the language that is used when our systems and bank systems are communicating to each others? And Matti, can you take this one?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, actually, the power of the APIs is that they work with any programming language. Be it Java, be it C#, Python, or something else, they are all able to connect to the two and use our APIs, since the APIs actually follow the global standards. The APIs use the so-called JSON format for the data they send back and forth, and every programming language can understand these JSONs. And also, every developer knows how to work with them. This also applies to developing the integration to the APIs. So every developer can do that regardless of the language that they are kind of writing the program in.
Sounds easy. The next question, do you have any examples of banking as a service providers? Can you, Lisa, take this one?
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of examples in the world. I think especially neobanks are using this model quite often, and also in some consumer financing area, the companies are using it. But I could give an example from Nordea. So we have a banking as a service case where we are offering retail finance capabilities in terms of card issuing capabilities to Finnair, which is our customer, who is then providing that service to Finnair's consumer customers, who can then get a Finnair loyalty branded credit card from the Finnair site. And of course, we all hope that soon we can travel again as well. So this is, I think, an example of API banking.
Yes, thank you. Next question, what are premium APIs? I think, Lisa, you can take this one as well.
Yeah, I can continue on that one. And of course, the previous was an example of a banking as a service, not API banking, as I said. But yes, premium APIs, they are the other name for the corporate APIs. So it's often talked about the premium APIs. It means that it is not an PSD2 compliance API, but it's a normal service which has a fee and fee structure, and so it's a commercial service which banks are offering to their customers.
Okay, thanks. Next one is related to development and how time consuming / how fast is API development? And if you can, Lisa, start with this.
Yeah, I can start from that. I think that, if we talk about the actual development, that's not that fast, but of course there is a lot of processes around that which take time. If we then consider the kind of onboarding the customer, so getting the customer started with the API, I think also there the biggest time is consumed for thinking about the processes and thinking about what do we want to achieve. But I think that the actual development and taking the API in use, that is quite trivial. So it's not rocket science. So it's quite easy. Of course, we have to understand that depending on where do you want to integrate it, the integration needs to be built on your side, and that's a bit of work. And that's why I'm emphasizing that we need to start from understanding the full landscape and where do we want to integrate the API. But probably Matti could continue from here and also provide the insights from the market side.
Yeah, exactly. I think that you put it well. So that usually the technical integration is the easy part. Sometimes it's completely trivial. Other times it takes a bit more effort. But anyway, any kind of competent developer can do that easily. But then, however, usually we need to use quite a lot of time together with you for deciding what we actually want to achieve from the end user's point of view. For example, what data should be requested and when, where it should be sent, and how it should be handled after it has been received from the API. So for example, okay, whenever I log into my treasury management system, I want that this data will be updated in the window X. But the good news is that this more time-consuming part doesn't require any in-depth technical knowledge from you. You just need to tell us what you want to achieve. As said, I want to get this data in this system, in this view, and then we will take care of the rest. And you don't need to understand all the technical details in the background.
This is Tuula. If I may add as well, what you were also saying already, that I mean to comprehend the full landscape is of course important, and I think this within the company, treasury often is as a very centralized function already from mindset and from systems point of view. But now, as we have described also the end-to-end processes, order to cash, purchase to pay, so the co-creation and collaboration within the organizations itself also, that may be something that takes a while, but it's very rewarding also then to analyze the kind of pain points, and hopefully the concrete examples are then helping that studies as well. But when kind of defining the dream state, what it could be, so the collaboration with the process owners and the treasury it's very, very important. That I wanted to add that as well.
Yeah, thanks. This was a very broad answer to the question how time consuming or fast is API development? And then if you're talking about weeks or months or years, what is, Matti, your opinion? Will it take, like in early days, it took months to develop something when you are developing API queries? Will it take more hours, days, weeks, or months?
Yeah, typically kind of it depends on what you mean by that. If you take the time that you decided, okay, I want to create the integration, and the time it actually works, that typically takes a few months. But usually the reason is not that it takes so many active hours from your side, but typically it is because you have plenty of other things to do, and you can just work on the integration part 24/7. So the more urgent you think that the need is, the faster it is. And in the fastest cases, it has taken just a few days to get everything working.
Yes, thank you. Then the next question, how would APIs work together with our solutions? And this our means from corporate point of view, because the question is coming from corporate. Lisa, would that be yours?
Yeah, I can take that. So there are many ways that corporates are integrating APIs. And of course, there are tools in the ERP systems which you can use for this kind of development and also integrate directly to ERPs. But then also what we are seeing is that our TMS systems, quite a few customers that I've been talking to are also considering setting up an API platform for their own middleware and then connecting the dots from there. Of course, the benefit of that approach is that you're then on top of the integrations yourself, and you can design. You have more freedom to design the system landscape on your side, so that you're then in control of the setup and can also connect the APIs to several different systems and are not bound to only one. But it's case by case where it does make sense to do the integration and how does it make sense to connect. But there are different alternatives, and we are happy to discuss this also with you then.
Yes.
Once you get there.
Yeah, great, thank you. Then last question, beneficiary account validation API. Is it for local accounts or foreign accounts?
Beneficiary account validation is targeted for foreign accounts, and it is really the best that is possible today to support our customers validating the foreign exotic the foreign counterparties from exotic countries. So it is targeted for foreign trade.
Yes. Thank you. That was the last question. Thanks for the audience. Really good questions. And also thank you for the speakers. It was really nice to have you here in our Vallila studio. I wish you a pleasant rest of the week and all the best when you are developing your API queries. Thanks and goodbye.